Hey there, I'm going to be showing you how to make a Lego time lapse that looks a little something like this. So Lego just came out with a brand new R2-D2 Lego Star Wars set, and it looks amazing. The sleek design, down to all the little details, it all looks fabulous. Just some fantastic authenticity to the character here. And of course, a nice little minifigure R2-D2 on there. I think Lego really knocked it out of the park with this one. Being something of a Lego buff myself, I had to add it to my collection. I also saw it as the perfect opportunity to show a few tips and best practices for filming something like this. Just a few tips and tricks I've learned along the way to make a time lapse like this look really nice. Lord knows I'll take any excuse to play with Legos. So you're going to want to start off by setting up a backdrop that looks nice and complements whatever it is that you're building. In my case, knowing that I was going to feature the iconic little blue droid that we've all come to know and love, I decided to set up some nice dramatic side lighting as well as lean into some of that blue color. I also placed a couple of pelican cases in the background because to me they kind of looked a little bit Star Wars-y. Just a little something to fill out the frame just a bit. There are truly some really nice touches on here, some nice bells and whistles, even some detachable gadgets that you'll recognize from the movies. So obviously your Lego set is not going to be built out yet, so find something else that you can place as a prop stand-in to frame up your shot. Once you've found a composition that you really like, it's going to be time to dial in the settings of your gear. So as we're thinking through some camera settings, I have found that generally I like a lot of motion blur in my time lapses. So with that, I pull the shutter speed down to a really slow speed, somewhere around 3 seconds. I'm a sucker for that really shallow depth of field look, and so I kept my aperture as open as my lens would allow. That happened to be f1.8, and I've got my ISO all the way down. Now, in order for me to have that really slow shutter speed but also have that shallow depth of field, I actually had to throw an ND filter onto my lens. And a few more menu items to take into consideration. For starters, make sure you're capturing your stills in a RAW format. This is going to give you by far the most flexibility in your edit. And I like to make sure I'm getting the Jpegs as well, but mostly as a backup. Be sure your drive mode is set to single shooting, and I like to make sure that image review is off so it's not going to hinder the interval countdown in any way. In most cases dealing with time-lapse, you're going to want your focus to just stay on manual focus so that it's not jumping around. When going for that really shallow depth of field look, it's good practice to take a little mental note of where that precise point of focus is so that as you're going about your build, you can keep most of the action around there. Find ways to ensure that your tripod is not going to budge too much if it gets bumped. You can keep it secure with a sandbag or otherwise. That 1 extra minute to safeguard your tripod just a little bit goes a long way. Once you're feeling good about your camera settings, then you can dial in your intervalometer. So here are the intervalometer settings that I've chosen to go with. Self, 0, long, 0, interval, 4 seconds, number, continuous, and no sound, no beep. The interval that you set on your intervalometer should be a second or two longer than your exposure time or shutter speed. So my shutter speed was just over 3 seconds, so I decided to do a 4-second interval. Once you feel like your intervalometer settings are close to where you want them, it's really good practice to just let it run for a second to test it out and make sure that your shutter and the intervalometer signal are going to be in sync in a good way. Once you've got your camera settings and your intervalometer settings, then it's time for just final checks. So things like formatting your card and triple checking the focus. A lot of these modern Lego sets can take a really long time to build, so keep some water close by. Stay hydrated. Probably goes without saying, but make sure your camera has plenty of juice. Say you're doing a longer build, or if you just want some extra peace of mind, it might be wise to plug your camera into a power source. It's time to rock and roll. Hit start on your intervalometer. As an extra added measure of protection, some intervalometers have a lock function so that nothing can be bumped mid-process. Alright, and then really it's the best part. You get to build your Lego set. Pretty self-explanatory here. Enjoy yourself. I'd suggest looking over at your camera every once in a while just to make sure that things are still good. Once I get to the end of putting all the pieces together, I like to pose my characters in cool ways and then let the time lapse run just a little longer to get that last frame. Next, you just need to compile all of your images in a software of your choice. I typically use something from Creative Cloud like Photoshop or After Effects or even Premiere sometimes. You can have a lot of fun with the editing, and a nice color grade and finding the right playback speed is going to be the key to really bringing it home. That's about all I got for you for now. Thanks so much for watching, and I really hope that you found something in here that's going to be useful for one of your next projects. Keep building, keep filming, keep making cool stuff, and I'll see you next time.